Wrexham, star of a TV series, one of the most popular places to visit for tourists in Wales, and nowadays a totally all-round famous place. But should you visit Wrexham in 2025? Has the city got better? Are there more amenities and is it thriving? If you don't know us, I'm Rachel, he's Wills, and we are Postcards and a Pint. Now, Wrexham's just down the road, so let's get stuck in. Let's start with the High Street. Now, last year in 2024, we thought the High Street had improved. There were less empty units and more businesses coming in. How's it looking this year? It's not looking any better, and there even seem to be a few more casualties since last year. Bad times. Don't forget, there are more shopping areas. You have Eagles Meadow, a short walk away. Even though Debenhams has closed down, this area seems to be doing well with some new shops and restaurants. This is good news. There's also Island Green for shopping just behind Regent Street. This is a tale of two halves. This half is doing well. This half isn't. Oh dear. Then there's Place Coch, Border Retail Park, and the nightmare bit where you go round the corner on the way home. They all seem to be doing the same. But here's some good news. Last year when we had a look around Wrexham, the markets were closed and being totally refurbished. Now they're open and doing business once again. Tell us where you are then, news anchor Wills.
We're on Hemblast Street with the old General Market and Butcher's Market. These have been closed for a long, long time, but they're now open. Let's go take a look.
Let's start with the Butcher's Market. This was built in 1848 and was a place mainly used for selling fresh butter, eggs and poultry. During World War II, the cellars under this market were used as air raid shelters, and locals believe these cellars are connected by tunnel to St Giles's Church. The General Market, originally called the Butter Market, opened in 1879. This site was once called Manchester Square, as it was popular with textile traders from Manchester. Both markets are definitely looking better for their makeover though, although they're not at full capacity with traders yet. Wills?
I was chatting with the chap who has the CD and DVD stall, and he was saying that the reason it's quite empty today is because a lot of the stall holders have gone home early because there was not many people about. But it is getting better, but some of the stall holders are still waiting for their application to go through. So very soon there'll be more stalls where you can spend a penny.
And talking about spending a penny, at the side of the General Market are public loos. It costs 20p to pee, and the toilets are immaculately clean. They still have that old Victorian feel about them too. And in case you've any pennies left, every Monday Wrexham has an outdoor market. It's time to move on, and now let's talk food and drink. Wrexham has an abundance of pubs, cafes and restaurants, some very historical, and some not so. It was good to see that Wrexham's oldest pub, the Horse and Jockey, was no longer closed. But which pub or restaurant should we go for today? We are terrible creatures of habit and usually go for the fat boar, as we like it. But today we thought, no, let's do something different for the channel, and as the taxman has just taken all of our money, let that different be Wetherspoons. The Elihu Yale spoons, in fact. And yes, sit tight American friends, it is the same guy, and he has Wrexham connections. Elihu Yale retired to his family estate near Wrexham, and he was buried at St Giles's Church. We'll gloss over his slavery links and just say that he donated loads of money to help fund the university in Connecticut. So happy were they that they named it after him. Which is kind of ironic, as Wetherspoons is cheap, or should we say, good value. To startle you all once again, I didn't go for sausage, I went burrito bowl, but Rinse and Repeat Wills went for fish and chips. Happy days. We have to say the food was really, really good and enjoyed by both of us. Eh, Wills? Good lad. Da iawn, Welsh Wetherspoons. It's time to walk off lunch and we better go check out St Giles's and Mr Yale's tomb. This church is recognised as one of the finest examples of ecclesiastical architecture in Wales. The main part of this church was built between the end of the 15th century and the early part of the 16th century. And the iconic 16th century tower rises 41 metres in height and forms one of the 7 wonders of Wales. And there, just at the side of the tower, is Elihu Yale's tomb. With a conflicting design aesthetic is the Methodist Church. Man, the 1970s have got a lot to answer for. St Mary's isn't too far away from the Methodist Church, and although nowhere near as grand or imposing as St Giles's, it's actually Wrexham's cathedral. The cathedral was originally built as a parish church in 1857 and was designated a pro-cathedral in 1898. It is now a Grade 2 listed building. There are other churches of other religions dotted around the city, and if you like a church to visit, you'll be spoilt for choice. Wrexham's University sits next to the football ground and isn't associated with Mr. Elihu Yale. He did lend his name to Yale College in Wrexham though. Well, I say lend, there was a big lawsuit after Yale University USA tried to sue Wrexham Council for trademark infringement. Wrexham pointed out that it has deeper historical connection to Yale, predating Christopher Columbus by 500 years. But you can't beat the Americans in a lawsuit, so it's now called Coleg Cambria, and there endeth the story. Right, let's move on to two great stories, football and beer. If you don't know the story of the meteoric rise and good fortune of Wrexham Football Club, you've either been living under a rock or need to ask Santa for Disney Plus this Christmas. Just go back to 2020, and Wrexham, the oldest football club in Wales and the third oldest professional association football team in the world, were a non-league side. In November 2020, the club was bought by Reynolds and McElhenney, and it's been a rollercoaster ride ever since. They appointed Parky as manager, and it's gone something like this. 2021 to 22, finished second but lost the playoffs. 2022 to 2023, they won their league and were promoted back into the English Football League after a 15-year absence. 2023 to 2024, they finished second in League 2. This was enough to get promoted to League 1. They are currently third in League 1 and could very well get promoted again. Wrexham has become quite the tourist hotspot since the TV show Welcome to Wrexham. We now find a lot of American visitors here. Who needs Elihu Yale when you've Rob and Ryan? We even brought along our American friends when they visited. Cheers, guys! Oh yes, and the turf pub next door hasn't done too badly either. Which segues us over nicely to Wrexham Lager. In 1882, a brewery was set up by German immigrants in the centre of Wrexham. By the 1900s, it was highly exported and lays claim to being the only lager available on the infamous voyage of the Titanic. Isn't that right, Wills? The brand decreased in popularity over the years, and the original brewery closed in the early 2000s. However, like the football team, it's now back, bigger and better than ever. And for a little bit of brewing history, the main brewery house from 1882 is still there. Granted, it now sits on a pretty tatty retail park, but you can visit this small piece of Wrexham Lager history to this very day. And just before we leave beer and football, a quick shout out to the trains. Thanks to beer and football, there are now more trains and newer trains running to Wrexham. If you want town, get off at Wrexham Central. If you want the football, get off at Wrexham General.
And it's only a couple of minutes walk to the football ground.
There's a bus stop too, but we don't really know about that. Instead, there are also some lovely green spaces. There are indeed. If the football's all gotten a bit intense, it's easy to find somewhere to walk and watch the squirrels play. Never leave. He wasn't falling for it. We're now in Bellevue Park. We discovered this one just before Christmas because the Christmas market was here. It's lovely. It's got outdoor tennis, outdoor football, loads of areas to walk your dogs, plenty of squirrels. It's a really, really nice space. And there's also a gorgeous bandstand that is so in keeping with this beautiful Edwardian park. But this isn't the only green space. There's this one, Two Rivers, a sculpture by Richard Harris that looks over the River Gwenfro and affords you beautiful views of St Giles's Church. And this one, Llwyn Isaf, right outside the library. This is a lovely wide space that is quite the student hangout in the summer. There is a lot of art dotted around the walls and in the flower beds, and like Bellevue Park, this space has a bandstand too. One last space, but it's still not open, the Ryan Reynolds Memorial Park, as I said last year. Didn't know he was dead. So Wrexham is still doing well on green spaces. But it's history time again, as Wrexham has a really interesting history. Even back in the 11th century, Wrexham was a hub for trade. The city became the most popular city in Wales in the 17th century and was at the forefront of the Industrial Revolution. The area surrounding the city was rich in coal and lead, and the production of iron, steel, leather and beer was prevalent. Wrexham was thriving. Sadly, in 1934, one of the worst mining disasters in British history happened at Gresford Colliery, just outside Wrexham. It cost the lives of 266 local men. The coal industry had been declining since the end of the First World War, and by 1946, only 2 collieries remained. Slowly, all of Wrexham's once great industries closed, and like the rest of industrialised Britain, the city saw little investment in the 1970s. Then, in the late 1980s, the A483 dual carriageway was built. This bypassed Wrexham town centre altogether. And although retail parks were built, Wrexham felt like it had lost its heart somewhat. But now, with more investment, more tourists, the football story, Wrexham is definitely the comeback kid. And although not a huge amount has changed over this past year, there's a sense of hope and optimism all around. Right back to today's city, and next up is Pawb. This is a cultural community centre that combines a market, art centre, gallery and some places to eat and drink.
You'll also find the Tourist Information Centre within the building of Pawb.
It's a fun place to visit and very welcoming. They also house the old Art Deco lamp from the Hippodrome Cinema that closed in 1998 and was knocked down in 2009. You can read all about it here. And Wills loved it so much as he saw his favourite film,
E.T.
here as a child.
8 times!
Thanks, Wills. We noticed a lot more posters and flyers for upcoming events and concerts, which was great to see. Does Wrexham have much to offer families, though?
There's a swimming baths with a very eclectic design.
Yes, it does look like it's landed from out of space. Then you have Grove Park Theatre on Hill Street. This theatre puts on some lovely family shows. And then there's a bigger theatre, housed within the university, the William Aston Hall. Here you can see a wide variety of shows and acts. Right in town is the Explore Centre. This is a family-friendly science discovery centre with lots of hands-on exhibits. We've not been in, but here it's brilliant. What we have noticed more of is street art. Since the rise of the football club, it's been popping up more and more. We love this piece paying homage to the mining history of Wrexham. Let's give one last shout out to the old Victorian arcades. Now the markets are back open, let's hope these flourish once again, as they're so pretty, even when they're full of beer barrels. So that's Wrexham in 2025. What do you think? Better, the same, or worse? Let's head home now for a Wrexham Lager and a catch-up.
We're back and Wrexham Lager is in hand.
Indeed.
So what do you think? Wrexham, has it got better in 25? Worth visiting?
I think so. What do you reckon?
I think a little bit disappointing, the high street. I thought there was going to be more businesses in, more units open. So that was a little disappointing.
And more people.
Yeah, but going over to Eagles Meadow, that's a success story. Because that was dying last year since Debenhams closed.
You got a new football shop?
Yeah, there's a couple of new shops in there. Everything seems to be pretty much open. And also the market. How nice to see the markets open again.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? They've been closed for a long, long time.
Yeah. Hopefully the permits will come through for the other stall holders.
And they'll be full soon.
Yeah, and they'll manage to get rid of those or sell? Is that what you do? Rent? Those last few stalls.
I don't know. I just remember from when I was a kid and there used to be a joke shop just as you go into the butcher's market. I used to spend all Saturdays in there just doing all the jokes. Whoopee cushions. And
you haven't changed.
No.
The one thing I did notice, and we haven't talked about, is they've not pedestrianised, but not tiled? Paved. That's it. The street that goes from the Fat Ball up and around to St Giles's.
Yeah.
And I think they're going to have nice flower beds. It's looking. Wrexham is going for City of Culture.
Next year?
It's 29, I want to say.
29, I think you're right.
On the poster. Apologies if we're wrong. But they did go for it before COVID. And they kind of painted a few lampposts, but it didn't work.
And a few bins.
And a few bins, and that was it. But I think they're going to get it, you know.
I hope so. I'm doing a show with, you might have seen a sign, Eisteddfod. If you're not Welsh, you might have no idea what Eisteddfod is. Basically, it's a big Welsh festival, Welsh language festival.
Yeah.
And I'm involved in a show that's there this year. It's called Wrexham. Don't know anything else about it yet, but I know it's in August. So there'll be a bit more of a buzz about the town for that.
So I
was just going to say, because Eisteddfod is held in different towns in Wales.
Every year, and Wrexham's got it.
And Wrexham's got it this
year. So, a bit of a buzz.
Yeah.
Still, sorry about that. We'll get onto that in a minute.
Yeah.
Bit of a buzz and definitely worth visiting. Right, that cough, what's happened?
We're ill.
We are ill.
I'm ill this week.
I was ill on the last one. He's ill now.
I've got the COVID.
He has got the COVID. He's tested positive today. We think he's had the COVID for the last 2 days.
Yeah.
Possibly picked the COVID up off the ship.
Ooh.
I wasn't well on the ship. I put mine down to just a cold. Maybe I had the COVID. I don't know.
So either Rachel had the COVID and gave it to me, or Rachel had a cold, I got the COVID, and now I'm going to give her the COVID.
Back again.
Back at you, baby.
It's not been absolutely
It's
great.
not. But we've got to get ready because we're going to Norway in a week and a half's time.
We are, and you're going to start seeing our ship videos next week. Don't worry, we still had a very good time, even though I was not the greatest. I do sound like Marge Simpson all the way through those videos, or a sex worker from Amsterdam, one of the two. So we hope you enjoy those videos. But yeah, we're so excited because we're going to Norway next week in search of the Northern Lights. So you better get better.
And reindeer rides.
Yeah, and if you give me the COVID, I'll kill you.
Yeah, we'll be fine by then.
Yeah, let's wrap this up.
Okie dokie.
If you'd like this video, that'd be great.
If you would hit that like button, if you'd subscribe, it's free. It doesn't cost a penny. It really, really helps. It really helps if you hit the like button. It really helps if you leave the comments. We always answer the comments.
Yeah. And
that's probably it, isn't it?
Hit the notification bell. So
we do have a Patreon. If you fancy it, we do make videos specifically for Patreon, and we've got quite a few more coming up in the short term.
Right, let's do this. As we say,
in Postcard and a Pint, cheers to the good times.
A sore throat, a runny nose, and a head cold walk into a bar. Barman says, "Is this some sort of sick joke?"
Oh.